Hi, everybody. This week we're talking about safe zones for fearful dogs. That's when you set up a part of your house or the yard, possibly, this kind of your dog's space where they won't be interfered with, where they have all their needs met. And for a lot of fearful dogs, those of you who have real fearful dogs, I know, may already have your dog living in a space like that because right now the whole house is a bit too much for them. So we've talked about this before a little bit in sort of as a subtopic of other topics, but I thought it was worth spending a little time today just talking about safe zones as their own very important topic. All right, let's jump in. If you have any questions as I go through, please feel free to pop them under the video wherever you're watching them. So safe spaces for fearful dogs, helping your dog feel safe at home. We'll talk about just briefly what do I mean when I say a safe space? How do you know if your dog needs one of these? And then a little bit about how to set one up. Okay, so what is a safe space? And here's, on the left, here's a photo of Pancake in a temporary safe space that I had set up outside when we had visitors in the backyard. It's an area in your home or somewhere on your property that's physically blocked off or delineated, so it keeps the dog in and keeps other stuff out. Could be a pen or something like in this photo. This is an X pen. It is only for the dog's use, so other pets don't go in there, and people don't either. It is their space, and it provides really important sort of hiding spots and resting places for your fearful dog. For if you have a really fearful dog, it's often where they live. They spend all their time in that safe space in the beginning. Because, like I said, having the whole house available to them is a little bit overwhelming. All right, why do we set these up? As I mentioned, a lot of times fearful dogs are kind of scared of the whole house. They're reluctant to move around, which means they might not. They might either not get all the stuff they need, or they might wander off and then kind of get stuck somewhere in the house. So it allows you to make sure they have all of their needs met in a smaller area that they are more comfortable moving around in. It is a small area for you to worry about sort of shielding or insulating from scary stimuli. So a lot of fearful dogs they'll be afraid of noises in the house and outside the house, perhaps afraid of family members, afraid of other pets. And rather than try to make the entire house, soundproof or try to constantly manage interactions between the fearful dog and other family members, this gives you sort of one small area to focus on making sort of safe feeling for the dog. It prevents the fearful dog from wandering into the house looking for something or getting scared and running somewhere and then getting stranded. If you've had a fearful dog get stuck like under a bed or something, you know what I mean. They're too afraid to come out, but they're scared being where they are, and you definitely don't want to reach under a bed and pull out a fearful dog. You could get bitten that way. So just prevent that from happening altogether by having them confined in a space that is just theirs, just their safe space. From a practical point of view, it contains any accidents that may happen if the dog isn't completely house trained. You can give them, I'll talk about this a little more when I show some examples, but you can have, a potty area inside the safe space, and I highly recommend doing that. And if they do have an accident, at least it's restricted to that area you keep them in. It's not they can't pop up anywhere in the house. Because this is a physically delineated space, you'll be using a pen, some fencing usually, or else maybe a spare room. That kind of physical barrier keeps the other pets in the house out if you have other, dogs or cats. Also keeps people from wandering into the dog's space inadvertently, or at least if they mean to wander into the dog's space, makes it a little harder for them. And really importantly, it provides if it's set up right, a predictably safe space for the dog to start to explore and even play as they become more comfortable in the home. So does your dog need one of these safe spaces? I would say yes if your dog spends a lot of time hiding. If you've got a dog who hides under furniture a lot, hides in the bathroom, under any other furniture, if they tend to flee frequently when if people walk into the room, they run away, that suggests they might benefit from having their own safe space where they won't be approached. Or if they tend to charge, lunge, or bark at family members, it's another good reason for them to have kind of their own space. Even if your dog isn't so fearful that you think they need to live in a safe space right now full time in the house, it can be really helpful to have for temporary use. If you've got a dog who hides from visitors or barks at visitors, having them have a safe space they go into when there are visitors in the house can be preferable to these kind of behaviors. Definitely helpful if you have visitors who don't follow instructions. That's all of us, right? It's hard to get visitors to follow instructions. We do have a blog. I'll try to remember to link to this in the blog, today's blog when we're done with this video, but we do have a blog on how to help visitors follow instructions. But they don't always. And so instead of kind of risking your dog having a bad reaction when visitors don't follow instructions, you could put your dog in their safe space instead. Also, if you have a pet sitter coming to take care of your dog, it could be really nice for them to be in a safe, confined area when that pet sitter comes into the house. If you are not sure whether a safe space would benefit your dog or not, I'd recommend you have your dog's behavior evaluated by a good positive reinforcement trainer, and they'll let you know whether they think this would be a good idea. Okay, so there are a lot of details we could talk about when it comes to setting up a dog's safe space. I wanted to keep it relatively simple, though, today and not overwhelm you with too many details. So we're just going to touch on the location in the house or yard where you put the safe space for the dog, what kind of materials you'll need. And then I did want to touch on noise masking as a major topic for these guys, how to kind of reduce their exposure to scary noises. All right, location. So you generally want to put the dog's safe space in a low traffic location in the house. Now, of course, there may be, either some restrictions for you based on the layout of your house or how many people are in your home. Or you may have a dog who's super attached to one person, and so you want the safe space to be somewhere where that person will be spending a lot of time. It does need to be individualized to your dog, but in general, you don't want to put a fearful dog's safe space in a high traffic area in the house where lots of people will be going by. In the photo here, that's little Pancake in his safe space in my office in the prior house we were in. So there's no like through traffic through this room. The only person that needed to go in there was me, and even I could avoid that if I needed to. Normally that fencing was all the way across to enclose that, but I think I opened it for the photo. Okay, quiet. This is kind of separate from the low traffic point because I had in mind outdoor noises. So ideally, you wouldn't put a dog's safe space in a room that fronts the street if you live on a busy street. Now, it's possible if that dog has no issue with traffic noises, then you might not have to worry about it. But think about what kind of noise your dog will be exposed to in that location, whatever room you choose. Traffic noise, dogs barking. If you say you have a backyard fence that the neighbor has a dog who's out barking all day, just things to think about. And then this is ideal if you can do it, is having outdoor access. You can see in this photo, there's a dog door that takes Pancake to a little portion of the backyard. Some dogs may be too scared to go outside, or you might live in a place without a yard, in which cases you wouldn't do this, but it can be very helpful to have a way for the dog to go in and out without you being involved at all, directly from their safe zone. All right, what kind of materials do you need to set up your dog's safe zone? You need walls of some kind, some way to kind of delineate the space. In the photo here, that's an X-pen, and it's covered with at least partially covered with some sheets. So an X-pen or some other kind of plastic or metal play yard type fencing. Often it'll be stuff that's made for toddlers, although the X-pen here is is made for pets. You're going to want to set up some kind of area that's enclosed like this. Now, some people have an extra room they can use, and the whole room can be the dog space, and that's fine too. Then you wouldn't need, to set up a pen necessarily. For the floor of the area of the dog's safe zone, I like to put down a tarp. If the dog's going to be living there, it's a very fearful dog who is going to be living full time in the safe space. I usually cover the whole area with a tarp first to kind of protect the floor a bit from accidents, and then also put down potty pads. You want to make sure they have soft resting surfaces and give them a variety. And then stuff that goes inside the pen, you're going to want some kind of toilet area. And I'll link to our video and blog on indoor toilet areas in today's blog. So if you're on our email list, you'll get that. If you're not on our email list, shoot us a message wherever you're watching this, and I'll make sure you get on it. I really like having a covered crate in this space as a hiding spot for the dog. It's just open. You're not going to close him in there, at least not at this stage that we're talking about, but it can provide a nice hiding spot for them. And of course, you want water. And even if you don't think your dog is going to engage in toys right now, I still like to have them available because sometimes they will start to check things out when no one's around. All right, and finally, noise muting or noise masking. This can be a big deal. Some of your fearful dogs, like I said, may respond negatively to traffic noises, other outdoor noises, indoor noises, people's voices in the house. And so it can help to make their environment more pleasant for them if we can find a way to kind of cover some of that up. So a white noise machine in or right next to the pen might be helpful. Music, just whatever streaming music. Pancake really likes classical music for whatever reason. It puts them to sleep every time. So you could try that. And even something like if you don't have a white noise machine, an air filter or a fan can also be helpful. And that might be something you have already. I know up here in Northern California, we've got all our air filters going overtime with the wildfires. And it does provide, it's not as loud as a white noise machine, but it does provide some kind of background noise that's steady. All right. And then we asked our Facebook community to share photos of their dog's safe zones. And I grabbed a few of those for you. I'll show some of Pancake's as well, just to give you an idea of the variety that people have come up with that works for them. All right. So here I mentioned before, here's one of Pancake's safe spaces. This is the first one he had pretty much when he came to live with us. This is where he lived full time when I could not touch him or approach him without him running away. So you see he has a crate. It's not covered, but it's a very kennel, so it has solid sides. He's in his little bed behind the crate. So this is kind of a nice detail to provide multiple hidden resting spots. This bed, because it's kind of behind the crate, gave him another place he could curl up that wasn't in plain view of the door. I'm taking the photo from the door to the room. He has toys. He's got his outdoor access there. When the fence is closed, you see I have a blanket over it. And that's a white noise machine there on top of the printer, that black circular thing. And there's a look inside from over the fence. It was some other time. Obviously, it's a little bit differently organized than the previous photo, but he's got toys. He's got his comfy crate, his bed, his outdoor access. Here's the second space we made in the house we're in now. This was in the construction stage. I covered everything with a tarp, and I even put tarp up the sides, one side of the pen in case he peed on it, basically, and then covered the side that was facing the living room and the kitchen with sheets so that he had that kind of security. He didn't have to see people all the time passing by. And there's a look inside. We try to really deck this out for his comfort. Again, you see he has his crate with lots of bedding in it. He's got a turf square for pottying. I actually eventually ended up not using that, but it was available. He also, you see I have potty pads taped around. That's the support to the table. It's like a pedestal table because he wanted to pee on vertical surfaces. He's got his bed with a little, I can see the cord, so I had his heating pad in there. And behind that, there are more blankets. That was another hidden resting spot behind that pedestal support that he liked to hang out in. And he has chews and toys and water. So he was pretty comfortable in there. Here is a past client dog safe space using different materials. So here they have, actually, you can't see the crate, but it's a wire crate. They have covered with a blanket. And then they used a little X-Pen to create a little space outside the crate. And instead of blankets or towels, they zip tied some cardboard to it, which is another cheap way to do it. And then they didn't always have it open to the door, but you see how it's right next to a sliding door. So they could unclip the X-Pen on one side, open the door, and then he could go in and out without anyone having to touch him. That was Chance. Here are another couple photos shared by community members. Here's someone who fosters dogs, I believe. This photo shows, this is kind of, I think, plastic fencing that's like for a kid, maybe playpen. If you want the link to this, they shared it in the group and I will try to find it for you. Just shoot me a message. You can see the floor is covered in potty pads and there's some water in there and some a comfy bed. And then in the next photo, it's the same pen, different foster dog. You can see there's now a blanket covering the walls or the fencing to kind of protect the dog from being exposed to everything in the room. And you got the crate and the nice bedding again. Here's Harrison from our free support group as well, whose mom shared some photos of his safe space. He is a big dog. He had a whole room for his safe space, which some of you might be able to do. He has a lot of toys in here. You can see water, many resting areas. He's there on a perch provided for him to look out the window for entertainment. And here's another look. This might be a different version of the safe space or a different room, but you can see he's got his crate, which is partly covered, and lots of enrichment and toys in there. Here's little Frida's safe space from, I don't know if she still has this or this was when she was a puppy. And I wanted to show this one especially because this was in a fairly small San Francisco apartment. And her dad, Jeff, still managed to make it work. So it's linear. There's actually a crate at the far end that you can see there are toys and stuff in there. And then next there's another area with some more toys, food and water. And then closest to us is a potty pan that has, I think, a potty pad under that grid. And there's a view from the top there. There's turf on that square. But you can see, even though he just had this long, narrow space, he still managed to get Frida everything she needed in that space. All right, here's one of our team dog safe space, Coco. Her safe space is more for visitors and pet sitters. She doesn't need it with just her family. And this is, I believe this is mom and dad's bedroom. I wanted to show this one because they put together this nice system where a pet sitter can come in and provide food and water without entering her safe space. Coco is a large dog. She can behave aggressively toward strangers. And so here they actually set up funnels for kibble and water that are zip tied to the baby gate here. And so a pet sitter can come in, do the food and water without, and still have this gate between them and Coco. You see she's got toys. She certainly has plenty of resting places. And then there's a doggy door there. And then she also has this outdoor area that is separated. It's not the full backyard. And I really like this if you're not going to be home. Especially with a big or small dog, if they have access to the entire backyard fence, especially with some of the older wooden fences, you can end up with cracks or rotten boards. So this keeps Coco in a subset of the backyard, which is probably safer, and she's got tons of toys out there. All right, Finn, this is another community dog, our Facebook community photo shared in there. And the Finn safe space is another room. So instead of a pen, it's a whole room. And again, you can see multiple resting spots and lots of nice enrichment. Water bowl there. All right. So I hope those examples were helpful to give you an idea of the variety of types of safe spaces people have put together for fearful dogs. Take-home points for today are that, one, safe space might benefit your dog. If you decide to make one, choose the materials, location, etc. for your dog's comfort and also for your convenience. Remember, you're going to have to be providing food and water for the dog, cleaning up, that kind of thing. So make sure it works for you as well. No matter what you do, you're probably going to end up changing it after testing it. So just get started. Start with something and plan to evaluate and make changes as you go. All right, folks, thanks for joining today. Here is our all our free stuff. At the bottom here, I have the link to our free Zen Zone guide, which has a PDF guide and videos for creating safe spaces specifically for when you have visitors over. That's free. So if you go to that link, you can grab the downloads there, and it has some ideas for different situations, like if your dog is fine being separated from you, if they're not fine being separated from you, how can you make having visitors over less traumatic for everybody. The links above that, the free Facebook group I mentioned where folks were sharing their safe zone photos from, that's the Dog Kind Support link, facebook.com/dogkind support. All right, everyone, have a lovely week. I will see you next week with some more Fearful Dog tips. If you try any of this in the meantime, shoot us a message, or if you're in the Facebook group, post some photos. We'd love to see what you try and what's working out for you. All right, bye, everybody.